welcome. And today I would like to speak to you about the know-it-all, okay? Maybe you know someone who you think is a bit of a know-it-all. Maybe you yourself are a bit of a know-it-all. I'm very interested in the know-it-all and to basically look at what is the energy structure of this person. Let's look at what the energy structure could be of this type of person who, the person who knows everything, who knows quite a lot about everything. So we're going to look at some of the energy centers and basically something called character structure. So what is character structure? Character structure is something that I have come across during my learning about the human energy anatomy, the auric structure, the energy centers, the chakras. So I'll come across this thing called character structure. So character structure is a term that is used by psychotherapists, and it describes the physical and psychological type of a person. And there was a man in the 1900s called Wilhelm Reich, who was a psychoanalyst, and he was the one who came up with this character structure concept. And he believed that people could be fitted into 5 major categories. So there are 5 major character structures that he came up with. And basically, these character structures, they describe a person's body type, their childhood experiences, the kind of relationship they would have with their mother and father, and basically each character structure describes a very habitual way in which the energy would be flowing in the person. Okay, the way in which the energy flow has actually shaped their auric structure, and also they would display a particular defense system as well. So it's a very interesting thing to study, actually, character structures. And so what I have found is that, so there is a character structure called the psychopath, and I know that sounds quite strong. We do have some quite strong associations with that word. I think we have some strong feelings about the word psychopath. So I'm actually going to call it, there is another word to describe the same character structure, so I'm going to refer to it as that, and that is the challenger defender character structure, the challenger defender. And what I have found, okay, from both my personal life and from my professional practice, so this really is just my own analysis, is that the know-it-all person seems to fall into the challenger defender category. Okay, now that's not going to apply to everyone, but it's just what I have personally encountered. So the challenger defender character, this is a person who would have experienced their first trauma in the very early part of their childhood. They have a real need to want to control, to dominate, and to overpower another, okay? And they have a tendency to hold a lot of their energy up in the higher centers, up in the mental centers. So we're talking the crown, the brow, and the throat, yeah? So the energy in the lower part of their body can generally be quite depleted. This person, physical problems wise, will encounter issues with their upper back, pain between the shoulder blades, and pain in the neck region. Okay, so let's look at the energy anatomy, okay? Let's look at the throat chakra first, very briefly. What I have noticed is that sometimes the know-it-all person can be quite the talker, okay? They can be quite excessive in their talking. You know, this is really the main way in which they will display a lot of their knowledge and their intellect to you, is through their talking. And they can have quite an, they can be very intelligent, they can be highly intuitive, they can be very perceptive people. But because there is a lot of energy up here in the mind, and because there is too much of the energy up here, really the talking is just a way for them to release that excess energy. And really, rather than spurting out the energy through the neck of the bottle, they should really be bringing all of that energy down into the lower half of their body, into the lower centers, so that they can get themselves grounded, right, and be fully balanced. And basically, because they do talk a lot, they can actually be very bad listeners, okay? So this person may appear as though they are listening to you, but really they're not. Really, they're not that interested in what you have to say. They're more interested in showing off what they know, and so really they want to do all the talking. And even if they are listening to you, sometimes they just really want to, they can't wait to kind of jump in to tell you what they think about something, right? Now let's look at their brow center. So what I have found is that this person will generally have a very overactive brow center. Okay, they will be running a lot of energy through their brow, so they'll have a wide open brow center. And I know that in the spiritual community we can have a tendency to think that a wide open brow chakra is a really good thing, that it makes us very highly intuitive. But really it can lead to us receiving inaccurate intuitive information, because it's not actually functioning in a balanced way. So it is really important, just like all the other centers, to have a very balanced brow center. Okay, so in the person that does have a very overactive brow chakra, yeah, if they are overusing this center, they can tend to be very deceptive people. And they may not necessarily realize that they are being deceptive, and that is because they are delusional. Okay, they are generally quite delusional about themselves. So basically, this type of person will not be seeing things clearly. Okay, the brow center is what allows us to see, but it is not a physical seeing like we do with our physical eyes. It is a seeing on a different dimension. Okay, it's a different type of seeing here we're talking about. So for example, it's the person who once upon a time talked you through a guided meditation, and so now they believe that that makes them a meditation teacher. Yeah, or it's the person who continually flirts with you, and even though it may be plainly obvious to everybody else around that you're clearly not interested in this person, but however this person is already decided on the wedding date, right? So yeah, this person can literally be living in a fantasy world. When a person has a very balanced brow chakra, they will be seeing things very clearly, okay, compared to a person who doesn't, who will be basically just seeing what they want to see, and they will be blind to the rest of it. Yeah, so this person has taken an image and they have disassociated it from the rest of the experience. For example, a divorced couple, yeah, like this is like the type of situation where when a couple are going through a divorce and the wife says, well, the husband was never there for her, she felt like he was never around, he was never there for the kids, she didn't feel supported by him. Okay, so she's taken this particular story, this image, okay, and that basically paints that person in a particular light, yeah, so that this person is unsupportive and neglectful of his family. Whereas the other side of the story could be, okay, if we look at the whole picture, it could be that that person, that man, was just working very hard for his family, okay? Perhaps he had a very demanding job, yeah? That meant that he had to spend long hours at work, okay, working and providing for the family, yeah, in order to be able to support his family. But because we leave that out, because the person may be blind to that, okay, and they are simply choosing to focus on this image right here that they have created, they decide that that person was a bad husband, yeah. So this person will basically have very poor discernment, okay. With a very wide open brow chakra, there is basically a lot of psychic input. You are bringing in so much energy into your brow that it can actually take you more into a fantasy world and really disconnect you from the real world, okay, and make you very delusional, to the point, like, for example, you know, you may think that you were Albert Einstein or Jesus in a past incarnation. Okay, now a lot of the time, okay, so these type of people can sometimes become channelers as well. Now, I have no problem with channelers. I think channeling is a completely valid intuitive ability. It's a clear cognizant ability, you know, to be able to basically access and bring in information from your higher self or from a spiritual entity, you know, and a lot of the information that genuine channelers bring in, I believe, is of great service to humanity. However, in the case of a person who is imbalanced and have a very open brow, they could be overloading themselves with so much psychic input, and because there is a lack of groundedness, because that information isn't really going right the way down and being processed through the lower centers, it is likely that this information is not going to be accurate, okay, and could even just be the result of a person's overactive imagination, because imagination takes place up here as well. Okay, now let's look at the crown chakra. Okay, so the crown chakra, this is where a lot of intellectual stimulation happens up here in the crown, yeah, and this is where learning takes place. And if somebody has a very balanced crown chakra, okay, they're going to be willing to learn and seek knowledge, but also they are going to be willing to adjust what they know according to what they learn, yeah. Now, the person who is the know-it-all is going to be quite reluctant to do that, okay, so because they've already decided that they know it all, okay, and so this is the type of person who's not very comfortable with saying, I don't know the answer to that, yeah. This chakra, the crown chakra, it's where we ask some really big questions, okay. This is where we go beyond questions to do with our mundane everyday life, and we ask the really big questions, such as, where did we come from, right? Why are we here? Who or what is God? Okay. What I have found is that with the know-it-all person, this chakra can be either underactive or active. So it can be either one of those, really. So in the person that has an underactive crown chakra, okay, let's say that this person is also very inclined towards spirituality. they may find it very difficult. They'll be very skeptical when they are presented with any new ideas or concepts, okay? Because, and this is because they are very overly attached and overly identified with their own spiritual beliefs. So they're going to find it very difficult to accept any new information, yeah? If this person isn't really interested in spirituality, okay, again, they're going to be very overly identified with whatever they believe in about life or whatever it is, yeah. But they will be highly skeptical about anything that exists beyond the material plane, okay? They are hyper focused sometimes on the material physical world, okay, and will find it very difficult to trust that there is anything else beyond that, to trust in a higher power, basically. And this skepticism really is because there is so much doubt in this person, and this doubt prevents them from being able to learn, to grow, and to ultimately change. Also, the person who has the underactive crown chakra is a person who needs to feel as though they are right. Yeah. They need to feel that they are right, because being right really supports their delusion that they know everything, or that they know better than someone else. And you know, this can come from a really deep insecurity as well, you know, this need to be right. Okay, let's look at the excessive, the overactive crown chakra now. Okay, so this person has basically taken all of their energy and sent it upwards into the crown, because they feel very safe and very comfortable up here, okay, in their crown chakra. This person has usually experienced some kind of painful or traumatic experience, and so to basically have that energy running in the rest of their system, you know, it can be uncomfortable for them to feel all of that icky stuff in there. And so this person will disconnect from their physical body quite a bit. They may suffer with loneliness, and that can lead them to spirituality. And basically, you know, spirituality then is just this place that provides them with a lot of comfort, right? So the person who has actually invested too much energy into their crown chakra, okay, for this person, spirituality can become an addiction, right? Spirituality becomes a place to escape into from the physical plane, so they just further disconnect themselves from the physical world, from the physical body, okay? They are much more comfortable up here. And this can lead to addiction to psychedelic drugs, meditation retreats, you know, they're always seeking the next best clairvoyant who could tell them something different, you know, always wanting to have tarot card readings, you know, it's an addiction, okay? They literally have become a spiritual junkie. So what this person really needs to do is to get their life into order, yeah? Because no matter how much you pursue spirituality, it is not going to sort out your problems. In fact, sometimes spirituality can really highlight your problems even more, yeah? And so it's no different to any other addiction, okay? Addiction to alcohol, drugs, whatever it is, okay? You cannot ignore the stuff that comes up in your life. The addictions are not going to solve your problems, okay? All you do is you end up keeping yourself stuck in just this perpetual cycle of creating more pain and suffering for yourself. So when you have an excessive crown chakra, you will have a tendency to want to over intellectualize things, yeah? And you know, you become very disconnected from your emotions. Okay, so you're disconnected from the physical body, the emotional body, and you're just in the mental field all the time. Yeah, that's where you're most comfortable. So, you know, we live in a society here in the West where there is a lot of importance placed on the intellectual mind. Yeah. And I mean, as children, you know, we're taught that we've got to get good grades. Yeah. That we've got to pass our exams. Yeah. We've got to do well at school. So there's a lot of pressure on kids. And the thing is that if you're raised, let's say, by a school teacher or a headmaster even, you know, there may have been just that much more pressure on you when you were younger, you know, for academic achievements. So I want to point out here that I don't think there is anything wrong with building the intellect. The intellect definitely does serve us, but it's about overdevelopment. When the mind is overdeveloped at the expense of the intelligence and the wisdom of the heart, okay, that's when we can run into trouble. Okay, because the heart has its own intelligence. And so we don't want to forget about the heart. So really what we want to do is we want to synchronize the head and the heart. Okay. We want them really to be working together. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it makes some sense. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any questions, don't be afraid to ask. And have a beautiful day.